Have you recently been declined for a merchant account or a payment processing application and you're a little confused why? Perhaps you heard the word match list. Now, if you did hear that word when you were declined for payment processing, it is very important for you to listen to this episode because I'm going to give you some critical information and some steps to follow to ensure that your business is up and running very quickly. My name is Maria Sparagas and I help thousands of 7- and 8-figure merchants figure out their merchant processing and conundrums like getting off match. Today, I want to really dig into the match topic and give you some really actionable tools. So I hope you listen till the end because I will give you a surefire way to ensure that your business is up and running. Now, what happens very often is we get applications at Direct PayNet from various businesses and merchants who have applied at other places, and they come to us in desperation asking for us to find them a solution. Now, I want to be clear. You may have heard the word match or TMF, which stands for Terminated Merchant File. They essentially mean the same thing, except match is associated to MasterCard and TMF, Terminated Merchant File, is associated to Visa. But either one really causes you a lot of problems in terms of getting a merchant account or any payment processing. Now, if you've been declined for applications for payment processing for a merchant account and you're really confused, don't understand why, the first thing to do is really to ask your provider or the person that you've applied with why you were declined.
What is it and what is the reason?
If they say the word match or the word TMF, Terminated Merchant File, well, this is going to cause you a problem that you cannot escape no matter which payment processor you go to. So it is important that you figure out how you're going to work around this and what solutions you're going to take, because whether you apply with my company or any other merchant account provider, you will always be listed as a match list merchant, and there are very few and rare cases that payment processors will be able to support your business. Now, the important thing to note is that sometimes you get declined for a payment processing application and you just continue applying at different places and so forth, and you don't know the reason why. So if you do get a decline from whether you're working with Stripe, PayPal, your own merchant account, it's important to ask, why were you declined? What is the reason for the decline? If you don't ask, they will not tell you. They will just automatically decline you and let you move on. And it's important that you figure out if you're on match, because if you are on match, you'll keep getting declined everywhere you go. So you'll never find a provider and you'll be confused as to why everybody's declining your application. Now, if we take it a step further and you ask why you've been declined and they say, unfortunately, you are match listed, we cannot provide services for your business, try to get the reason as to why you are on match. So there are various different reasons that you could be placed on match. One of the more common ones is excessive chargebacks. So if you had a lot of chargebacks at a certain point and you may have breached the Visa or MasterCard thresholds, or you were just very high and the payment processor decided to terminate you and place you on match, well, that's one reason. Another reason could be potential identity theft. I mean, we've seen this quite often, unfortunately, at Direct PayNet, is we have different business owners who come to us, ask for a merchant account, and we decline them for fraud reasons or potential identity theft. And they are the actual person who owns the business, so they've been frauded. And if that's the case, it's really important for you to know, hey, maybe your identity's been stolen and your business information has been stolen and used elsewhere, and this is causing problems for your business. So if it is identity theft, it's important that you file a police report so you can have a record that you've filed this police report and that your identity has been stolen. Secondly, it is important to call the credit bureaus and report this identity theft, and your banks as well, just to try to clean this up as quickly as possible, because I will tell you that this one reason is probably the easiest way for you to get off the match list and make sure that your business is up and running. And obviously there's other reasons. For example, one of them is violation of standards, which could be due to fraudulent reasons. But again, maybe there was a misunderstanding. Maybe your processor didn't understand what you were doing, and there could be some explanation. So there's various reasons you could be on match list, and it's important to find out why.
Why?
And the only way you're going to find that out is if you ask why you were declined and why you were match listed. So it's very important for your arsenal in terms of getting your business back up and running, and obviously getting payment processing for your business. Now, once we tell somebody that they've been on match list and their business, unfortunately is match listed, so it's going to make it very difficult to get a merchant account, what happens often is, obviously people want their businesses to be up and running and they don't want to be in a position where they can't get a merchant account. So they just go ahead and open another company and reapply using another company name. So not so fast. I will explain to you what information is listed on the match list. So it makes it nearly impossible for you to yourself get another merchant account quite quickly. So if you are on the match list, it is your personal name that's on there, as well as your business name, your personal address, as well as your business address, your business phone number, your personal phone number, your website, any other customer service phone numbers that are associated with you. So there is really a wide array of information. And when, we verify the match list to see if you're on it before we approve your account, what happens is that if there is a hit for any of these things, it will come up and we will ask you about it. So obviously you can say address, very simple. You moved recently and you just took over somebody's address, so it just so happened. And obviously that's very provable. It's easy to show that stuff to the bank. But if you are in fact on match list and you just open another company, it's not going to work.
It won't work otherwise.
So you're just really wasting your time and your energy is better spent trying to get off the match list. So keep that in mind. That's not a very quick fix. It's just going to be wasting your time. And in fact, what's going to happen is if you try to do that, then payment processors will be even more reluctant to working with you because they think, you're trying to fraud the system or game the system. Now, as I said, it's important to find out why you were match listed. So what you can do is when you know the reason, when you go to another payment processor, it is important to explain to them that you are match listed, explain the reason for the match list, and maybe what you did to fix it. Now you're going to come back and say, I don't want to tell obviously anybody else that I've been match listed because this is going to hurt my chances of getting approved.
How about no?
Well, every payment processor runs you through the match list before they finally approve your account. So you will not be able to hide it. You will be wasting your time. You will be wasting the payment processor's time. So if you know that you're on match list, just straight up tell the next provider because it's going to give you the best chances of getting approved. So for example, if you come to Direct Paynet, it's important that you tell us that you're match listed, explain to us why you're match listed. We may be able to work with you. We don't work with all match list merchants. It really depends on the reason. It really depends on the business type and so forth. You can reach out to me. I'll give you more information if you're on match, what you can do, or perhaps some solutions that we may have. But if you don't tell us and we go through the whole application and then we find out at the end, there's very little we can do with the bank because the bank's going to think we tried, that you tried to mislead them and you didn't give us all the information and so forth. So if we know in advance that you are match listed, we are able to help you a little bit more or give you the right resources to get your business back up and running versus just blindly submitting an application and not advising us that you're on match. So take it to heart because this advice is going to help you with any payment processor that you work. It's important to be upfront and explain what your situation is. It's a very similar thing to bankruptcy. If you declare bankruptcy on your personal side or your business side and you try to open bank accounts or you try to get credit and so forth, it will be on your credit file. And it is the same thing for match. It's on your file. So there's nothing that you can do to escape it other than obviously discussing it or getting off match, which I'm going to get to in a minute. How can you get off match? Number one, if your identity has been stolen, start a police report, go see your banks and your financial institutions and advise them that your identity has been stolen and ensure that you take the correct procedures to inform the credit bureau as well. And then once you have that information, when you go to your next payment processor, what you're going to do is you're going to tell them that you've been frauded and unfortunately were placed on match due to somebody frauding your business. And then, obviously it's going to be very helpful for them to read through the file and understand that this is, your unfortunate situation. And most of the time, most payment processors will be able to go ahead with this type of reason. If it is for an excessive chargeback reason, for example, well, you have to show us what you did to correct the problem, why the problem occurred in the first place, and how we're going to prevent this problem in the future. Now, it's not a guarantee, obviously, that you're going to get approved, but if you have this already in hand, a plan in place of what you've done and so forth to correct the issue, that's going to at least show that you're going in with good faith and you've made some changes in your business to ensure that this doesn't happen again. Now, obviously, the more complicated reason codes, for example, is fraud. If you frauded the bank, if you told them that you were processing for something, but then processing for something else, that makes things a lot more difficult. And at that point, I would say that for some of the more difficult reason codes, it might be a good idea to get a lawyer to ensure that, you can explain this properly in legal terms and give you the best chances of success. So obviously, whatever you can do to explain the situation is your best option in getting approved for a merchant account. And regardless of who you decide to apply with, as I said, we will find out that you're on match list. So there's no point in hiding it, and being upfront will give you the best chances of success. As I mentioned about the legal route, it's possible that, that maybe there was some confusion and you were listed on match for fraudulent reasons, but you have obviously some good information that would explain, what you did or your position on the topic. So at that point, my best advice would be to hire a lawyer. Now, I will tell you, there's a lot of lawyers out there that work in corporate law, but I would definitely recommend that you work with somebody who understands what the match list is, understands what financial technology and specifically payment processing is. If not, you will be wasting a lot of time and you will be paying a lot of fees. Now, if you go to a specific lawyer who understands the match list and understands payment processing, they will be able to target their request correctly and get you off match fairly quickly. I've seen lawyers get it done within a month.
It's all Goodman, speedy justice for you.
So it's really important that you choose the right partner and the right lawyer. If you do need a referral to a lawyer or to a couple of lawyers that you can speak to, you can contact myself or somebody in my team at Direct Paynet, and we can give you a couple of referrals so you can contact somebody who's really targeted in this industry. And now, if you're unable to get yourself a lawyer, or if it's too expensive and it's just not possible for you to go through the legal route, and there is a longer way that you can do it. Now, if it's in the case of identity theft or excessive chargebacks or even fraud, you need to contact the payment processor who placed you on match and explain to them, write them a nice letter of explanation of what happened, how it happened, and what you did to fix it, and how you would like to get off match because it's impeding on your business and your livelihood. And you need to be very specific in your letter of specific actions and what you did and how you will prevent this. Obviously, if your ID has been stolen, all you have to do is write the letter of what happened and also include the police report and any other types of report that you've done to the credit bureau. And most likely that's going to yield success and obviously avoid you some legal fees. But as I said, in the other cases, there needs to be more explanation and there needs to be an understanding of how this will never occur again. And then what you do is you would mail it to the payment processor. It's always a good idea to have a wet signature and mail it with a tracking number and signature required at your processor. You can find any financial institution's address, their official address, on the internet. It's very simple. Regardless of who it is, you can find them on the internet, find their address, because they have to publish an address somewhere. So if you dig deep enough, obviously you can find an address. Like, for example, if Stripe placed you on match, you can send it to their address in San Francisco. If you have been on match by Wells Fargo, you can send it to their head office, and so on and so forth. So it's important to find an address and send it to them via snail mail. That will be your most effective way of getting it to the right person so they can read it and assess. Obviously, I would also suggest that you send it by email to the regular support channels, but I would do both at the same time and ensure that you get a confirmation that somebody's actually received this package and signed for it. And that will give you also some critical information like the name of the person who signed it, which you can then use to follow up as well to see what's been done on your case. So those are essentially the main ways of getting off match. It's really either you try to do this yourself and really provide as much proof as possible, or you go through a lawyer. There's nothing really else that you can do to get your name or your business name off match. Now, what if you've done everything, like you've gone through the legal route or you've gone through your own personal route to try to get off match, and you still realize that you are unable to get off match? There's nothing that you can do. Now, obviously, this is not the best scenario, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you guys. It will make it very difficult to get a payment processing solution live. Like I said, Direct Paynet, my company, can help you, but we do have monthly volume minimums, and there are some industries that we wouldn't allow. So, reach out to us. We'll let you know if we're able to work with you. Please be straightforward with us, because if not, we're just wasting your time if you know that you're on Match and you don't tell us. Now, if you've tried to get yourself a merchant account or payment processing solution and you've been upfront and you've explained your situation and you keep getting declined, now your last resort and your last option would really be to use a payment aggregator or some form of third-party payment processor. Now, what you can do is you can reach out to a payment aggregator or third-party payment processor. Obviously tell them that you're on Match List, and they will charge you exorbitant fees and perhaps onboard you onto their platform. And the goal of doing this would be to gather enough processing history that you can then use to go back to some payment processors and show that you've cleaned up and that you don't have the same issues that you had in the past and so forth, and they may be able to reconsider. It's always easier for us at Direct Paynet to reconsider a Match merchant when we have 6-12 months processing history and so on and so forth, because then we can see performance and so forth. And then obviously getting your own merchant account will have way more reasonable fees than some of these payment aggregators. But it is your last resort if really you're out of options, is really to look for a payment aggregator. Now, a popular payment aggregator is Stripe, and I would definitely not go there because they're going to definitely say no. These are more high-risk payment aggregators that specialize in very tough to place accounts. So, a couple of Google searches and, perhaps some networking on different groups, and you'll be able to find one that is suitable for your business. And again, if you need any help or you have any questions about the Match List, please feel free to contact myself or a member from my team at Direct Paynet. We'll be happy to help you. Have yourself a great day, and please drop any questions you have down below about the Match List, and I'd be happy to answer them for you.